What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a very strong team for the Evolution Cup, which I was able to climb all the way to the 3300s, which might actually be my highest ever elo, with Steel Wing Togetic, Nidorina and Nidorino. Now of course, if you're facing lots of steel types in your elo range, this team is going to suck, there's no way of sugarcoating it, but you do have the option to run Dig on both Nidos. But for me personally, I only saw maybe 4 steel types in 8 sets, so I felt having coverage for Golbat, which was a bit of an issue for my Togetic in the lead, was a much better option. The most common picks that I've been seeing in this cup are of course Vigoroth, Shadow Dragonair and Primeape, and all of them get absolutely destroyed by this team, so I wouldn't even say that I've been playing particularly well, but I'm just hard countering opponents with this very strong anti-meta team. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the strongest pick for the Evolution Cup that nobody else is running? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, and I forgot to mention it in the intro, but it is Go Battle Day, so of course I am running the Battle of Spice. You can only submit in the Evolution Cup just because I recently uploaded a Master League Battle of Spice video, which you can vote in, I think, now. It should be up by now. I haven't actually done the polls yet, but I should be putting them up roughly when this video goes live. But here we go for a Thunderbolt coverage, coming in very clutch on our Nidorino so far. We can now go for a Poison Fang. We also won the CMP tie as well, dropping their defense. The opponent going to use their shield there. They might want to fight for switch advantage. They are going to be able to overfarm here, but they overfarm too much, throwing on CMP once again, and the opponent's going to double shield their Celio. So at this point, I am more than happy to just let my Nidorino go down. Body Slam will be taking us out, but we can come in with our Nidorino, go for the Poison Jab farm down. I can even let the Body Slam go through here. I'm still not too concerned. The opponent going to come in with their Dragonair. We're going to be able to make it to an Ice Beam before they can make it to a Charge move, and Ice Beam takes out the Dragonair, and the opponent's got a Charger Bug in the back. So I'm going to bank a Horn Attack. Horn Attack is an awful move, by the way, but it is 35 energy, it's cheap, and having Poison Jab with a 35 energy Charge move is quite a nice combination, despite Horn Attack being such a rubbish move. But here we can go for an Ancient Power. We end up getting the boost. So at this point, I know that I can take them out with my Nidorino. So I'm actually going to no shield. They go for an X as a bait. Pretty unnecessary there, and I'm able to call it, and the opponent just concedes the match. So going into the next battle here, we're going to see a Celio in the lead. So I didn't mention Celio at all in my intro. I think I only saw a few of them, but they just happened to be in the first few battles that I did with this team. But either way, going to swap into my Nidorina, and the opponent's going to go for a Body Slam there, chip, and then swap into their Shadow Dragonair. Now, we can go for a Poison Fang. A second Poison Fang is probably going to threaten a shield here because we have debuffed their defense. This is going to do more damage to the Shadow Dragonair. They might commit to the farm down, but it doesn't look like they're getting there, so they have to throw their energy. Body Slam will be taking us out, but that's fine with me. We can come in with our Togetic, go for a full farm down with these Steel Wings, actually trunking quite a bit because we have double debuff their defense, and I'm going to be very close to an Ancient Power, which I will throw into the Celio, coming back in, and then I will swap into my Nidorino. So Ancient Power coming through, Ancient Power hits for super effective damage, it does about half the health there. We can now come in with the Nidorino, and they've got a Charger Bug in the back. So we're going to shield the first move. They go for an X as a bait, but that's fine with me. They're still going to have to go for 3 Volt Switches to make it to the discharge, and if they only go for 2, I can just let the move go through, which they do here. And we are a poison type, so of course X Scissor will be resisted damage. It still chunks a fair bit, but we can tank it fairly easily. We can now go for a Horn Attack. We are at the back-to-back moves, and Horn Attack, pretty rubbish move, but it still KOs from that range, and we can make it to another Horn Attack in time. Gonna throw it straight away. I wasn't sure if they could fully farm me down there, so instead, we're going to swap into our Togetic. We've already seen Nidorina win CMP, but does Togetic win CMP up against the Celio? Yes, it does. We make a slight mistake here going for the Aerial Ace. It doesn't quite take them out there. Ancient Power would have been enough to KO, but it doesn't really matter because, of course, we have enough health on our Nidorino to just come in, Poison Jab, farm them down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Golbat in the lead, so I'm going to stay in this matchup here. Typically, I try and swap and catch on 6 just because the opponent's going to want to throw before we make it to the Ancient Power. But here, we're going to go for the Ancient Power, and then I will swap into my Nidorina. The opponent lets that go through, so that's huge for me. Now, I didn't want to throw here just because that would be a CMP tie, which we would end up losing. I'm going to shield. It is the Shadow Ball, and the opponent comes in with a Hakamoto. So we're just going to go straight Poison Fang in this matchup. Honestly, I can't see my opponent shielding here because it gets absolutely walled by the Togetic, so they might as well just fully sacrifice it. We go for Poison Fang number 2. They will make it to a to a Dragon Claw, sorry, but Dragon Claw will not be enough damage to KO, so we're going to go for another Poison Fang here. Poison Fang will be enough damage to take them out there. They're going to come back in with the Shadow Golbat. We can come in, snipe with our Nidorino, and the opponent's got a Vigoroth in the back, so this is certainly game over. We are resisting the counter damage. Horn Attack, as you're going to see, once again, doesn't do much damage, but it is going to add up over time, and now we've already got them into the yellow health range. We're going to go for another Horn Attack, grab a shield from the opponent, and honestly, we don't need to shield anything here. All we have to do is save our shield for our Togetic in the back. The opponent has to throw another charge move to get rid of us before we get to another Horn Attack. And now we can just come in with the Togetic, and this is where Steel Wing is very nice, as we can very easily just fast move, farm down the Vigoroth, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there, and into the next battle. One of the worst things we could possibly see with this team. Now, we do potentially have the option to run Dig, so I'm actually going to farm to a potential Dig, and then go for a Poison Fang bait, and the opponent lets that move go through. So if we were running Dig there, we could have just absolutely destroyed this Lairon, but unfortunately not running it, and because we went for a Poison Fang, I don't know, like, I really don't bait an awful lot, so if the opponent watches my channel, which they do because they actually commented on my recent video, then they probably know that I'm probably not running Dig, otherwise I would have just sent it straight away. Now here we go for another Poison Fang. That seems like an odd choice because it is triple resisted, but essentially that will allow me to just come in with my Togetic and go for a full Steel Wing farm down. I will shield this, respect the damage from a potential Rock Slide. It is the Rock Slide, and now the opponent comes in with their own Togetic, so we're going to go for the Ancient Power, and this is where Steel Wing is pretty nice for us because we are hitting for super effective damage. I'm going to let the first move go through here, and then it should be a CMP tie to the next Ancient Power here. Can we win CMP? The answer is no, unfortunately not. So I'm going to let this move go through. The opponent goes for Ancient Power number 2. They actually get the boost there, and I didn't realize that at the time. I just wasn't paying attention. Like I said, this battle was probably at like 2 AM. So here we're going to go for a Horn Attack, and this probably should have KO'd if they didn't get the boost. But unfortunately, it's nowhere near KOing since they got the boost there, and now I could have done several things there. I could have either tried to swap and catch the move. I could have also just shielded and committed to a full poison jab farm down. I did neither. Unfortunately, that energy goes to waste, and now the opponent comes in with a Primeape. There's still some play here, but I just can't see us winning this. They go for the Night Sash, and we're not going to have to make it to an Ice Beam. Unfortunately, Horn Attack is a rubbish move. Primeape is quite a classy Pokemon though, so I'm able to swap, catch the move onto my Nidorina, but this is certainly game over. Night Sash takes us out. They get another boost as well. Bit of an unnecessary boost that time around, but GG's to the opponent there. Very well played. Into next game, we're going to see a Vigoroth in the lead, so typically I just go straight for an Aerial Ace here. We will outpace them before they make it to a Rock Slide, and then I'm just going to swap into my Nidorina, sponge the damage, and if the opponent doesn't swap out straight away, it's pretty clear that they don't have a great response to the Nidorina, so I'll let the Body Slam go through, and now they're going to come in with their Dragonair, so we're going to go straight for the Poison Fang here. We've already seen that a second Poison Fang will either threaten a shield or get them very low, so we're going to go straight for that Poison Fang number 2. The opponent will be shielding up the Poison Fang. Can they get the farm down? Yes, they are able to get the farm down this time. That is a significant difference between this battle and the previous one up against the Shadow Dragonair coming in, but we can come in with our Togetic, we can live that Body Slam, and actually we can live another Body Slam here, so I'm actually going to save both my shields, go for the full Steel Wing farm down, and I'm predicting it might be a Charge Bug in the back, so I actually blind throw the Ancient Power here. Of course, could have gone for one extra Steel Wing, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to make much of a difference. We're not making it do another charge move, and Steel Wing is resisted, so that damage doesn't really matter. But here, we are going to shield up an X-Scissor. The opponent has to go for 3 more Volt Switches, so that bait doesn't really help them. But Horn Attack will be taking them out, and now this is game over for the Vigoroth. We've got way too much health here, and we've still got a shield remaining. We can go for the Horn Attack. Honestly, we could let this move go through. I probably will respect the damage anyways, just in case they were running Bulldoze, but it's just a Body Slam. We can make it to Horn Attack number 2, and from this range, Horn Attack will be taking out the Vigoroth, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Dragonair in the lead. So this is what I'm talking about. Just so many teams that are really weak to this team. We're now going to swap. We banked a little bit of energy there before we swapped out because, of course, there's very little fast move damage from this Fairy Wind Togetic. And now I think we've put them into perfect range where if they go straight Ancient Power, we can just fully Poison Jab, farm them all the way down, come out with so much loaded energy, and the opponent isn't having any of that. It is go battle day, so opponents wanting to get their battles done as quickly as possible. So the opponent just concedes the match there. But into the next game, another Shadow Dragonair in the lead. The opponent's going to swap into Vigoroth. They're actually just going to go for a Body Slam, which is fine with me. I'm just going to stay in, go for the Aerial Ace here, and then I will swap into my Nidorino, I do believe. I actually might be a Nidorino here. Yeah, we come in with the Nidorino just because we've got more fast move pressure here. I can let this move go through, and then I might throw the charge move on the CMP tie here. Or I might just commit one shield. No, we're going to go for the Horn attack, throwing just before. I tried to commit to the farm down, but we weren't quite getting there in time. But either way, we take out the Vigoroth, and if the opponent comes back in with their Dragonair, we're going to make it to an Ice Beam. And if they let this go through, this Ice Beam would be taking out the Shadow Dragonair. So they do, of course, respect the damage. We're now going to come in with our Togetic. They do have a slight energy advantage now, so they're going to be able to make it to a charge move. I can still let this move go through here as they go for the Body Slam, and they've got a Charger Bug in the back. Now, this is a little bit awkward here, and this is why I wasn't too keen on Nidorino. I actually preferred running Nidorino just because of that fast move pressure. Poison Sting, really not going to do much damage, and Poison Fang, whilst it does debuff their defense, I mean, we're not doing any more damage with our fast moves realistically. We're going to go for a second Poison Fang here, get them fairly low, but we're still not forcing a shield, and we're still not putting them into farm down range either. So they go for the discharge there. We're going to overfarm, go for another Poison Fang. The opponent, if they want to, can shield this up, but they're actually going to let that go through. It makes a lot of sense. We're going to go for a Poison Fang here, and then I will swap back into my Togetic, but unfortunately, the opponent will just barely outpace me to the charge move. And despite looking like I had a really strong team comp up against this opponent, they're actually going to be able to just barely Dragon Breath farm me down before I reach a Poison Fang, and they're able to take that game. So really well played by that opponent there. But into the next game, we see Primeape in the lead. The opponent's going to say swap into their Dragonair, and this is what I'm talking about. Togetic, really strong in the lead, and then we've got two poison types, so I actually don't need to swap out here at all. We're going to let the first move go through. Body Slam, really not going to do that much. Of course, Primeape can run Ice Punch, so I'm going to save my shield for that. We're going to go for another Aerial Ace, and because they swapped out straight away, we can just barely outpace them by one turn to the charge moves. Here, I swap into my Nidorino. I don't really think I needed to do that. I could have just shielded and farmed them down, but instead, we get the Poison Jab farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. Probably going to come back in with the Primeape here, and that's exactly what they do. We can go for the Ice Beam, and if the opponent lets this go through, this is going to do absolutely huge damage to the Primeape. The opponent forced to throw their energy. I thought about shielding this just because I'm not 100% sure what they're going to have in the back, and my switch clock won't be up just yet, but we can now wait out a switch clock, come in with my Nidorino, and the opponent's got a Lowland Graveler in the back, and this is actually really problematic for me. Again, if we had Dig, then this would just be really straightforward, but unfortunately, I'm not running it, and so I kept on farming as if I've got it, but honestly, my opponent's win condition here is just no shielding the first few Poison Fangs. Assume that I'm not running Dig because otherwise I would have just thrown it. And here, of course, they're not going to shield that, so I should have just thrown straight away. And at this point, I have realized that, yep, just go straight Poison Fang here. I'm wary that the opponent might try and make a catch and clear their debuff, so I've got to be very careful of that because, of course, Poison Fang will KO from this range with the debuff, but if they swapped out there, I don't think it would take them out. But either way, the opponent doesn't swap out. They come back in with the Primeape. We can just Poison Sting, farm them all the way down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Charger Bug in the lead. So going to swap out straight away, and they're actually running Spark, and this might just be because there was a bug, I think, sort of close to when the leagues did rotate, where unfortunately fast move damage wouldn't register if it hadn't quite activated by the time a charge move was thrown. So for example, if you're running Volt Switch and the opponent throws a charge move straight away, you get a full Volt Switch in, you'll still get the energy, but you wouldn't get the damage to register, which meant it's obviously not that ideal to run something like Volt Switch because you could just completely alleviate any fast move damage. But the opponent swaps into Primeape there. I'm able to go for the Poison Fang and then go for the Thunderbolt, taking them out and still make it to another Poison Fang with my Nidorino. So Nidorino putting in so much work in this battle. They go for a discharge. I'm going to let that go through, and I don't know what they've got in the back, but it doesn't matter. The opponent just concedes the match, and I'm able to take that game. Into the next game, another Vigoroth in the lead, so we're going to stay in, go for that Aerial Ace straight away, and then once again, I will just swap straight away into my Nidorino to catch the charge move if they throw straight away, or just sponge the damage, because it's very likely that they do throw at least some of the energy into my Nidorino here, and they will go for back-to-back Body Slams. I can still tank this fairly well, so I'm going to let it go through, and honestly, I should just go for a Thunderbolt here, but instead, I go for the back-to-back Poison Fangs, But then I realized that I'm probably going to lose CMP in this matchup, so I don't end up throwing the next charge move. Instead, I'm going to commit my shield and go for a full Poison Sting farm down. The opponent actually swaps into Golbat, and we've still got quite a lot of energy, so I can go straight for the Thunderbolt, dealing super effective damage. And now I swap into my Nidorino, and we go for a Horn Attack here, throwing, I think, on the CMP tie. So Horn Attack will be grabbing the first shield from the opponent. I'm going to no shield here. They go for the Shadow Ball. That does quite a lot of damage here. I will be able to make it to another Horn Attack though. And I'm going to throw on the CMP tie. So let's see what the opponent has in the back. Horn Attack will be taking out the Golbat, but they've got a Magneton in the back, and this is certainly game over. There's literally nothing we can do up against a Magneton. So I'm just going to let the move go through, and you're going to see that a Magnet Bomb will be one-shotting the Togetic, and they can just spark Farmers down. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Nothing we could do up against a Magneton, but I think that was the only Magneton that I saw, so it doesn't really matter too much if we're losing one game out of 8 sets, because there was a team that we couldn't beat. But into the next game, we see Shadow Dragonair in the lead, and they're staying in as well, so clearly weak to the Togetic. We can go for the Aerial Ace, and we can go for the back-to-back, because the opponent did end up throwing on alignment. So Aerial Ace takes out the Shadow Dragonair. We're going to come in with our Nidorina, and they've got a Primeape in the back, so this is game over for the opponent. This is such an easy game for us here. We're going to go for the Poison Fang. We can just let whatever they throw go through. Not going to threaten a shield. They go for a Night Sash. We don't care. We can go for a Poison Fang throwing just before they make it to the next Night Sash. And with the debuff, this will be taking out the Primeape. They're going to come back in with a Charger Bug. It's quite likely that they bait with an X-Scissor. But at this point, I don't really care. I'm just going to shield this up. I will go for a Poison Fang, permanently debuffing them as this is their final Pokemon, so they're not going to be able to swap out, clear the debuff. And I'm going to go for another Poison Fang as well. The opponent committing to a full Volt Switch farm down, but it's just too late. We're going to grab the shield with the Poison Fang there. They're going to fire for Charge Move. We can easily let the first one go through as the opponent goes for a Discharge. And we can just go for the Horn Attack. The opponent recognizing there's nothing they can do anymore, and they just concede the match. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Golbat in the lead, so I'm going to stay in this lead matchup initially. And let's see if I try to make a catch. No, we're going to stay in. The opponent throws the Poison Fang there. We're going to let it go through, and then I will go for the Ancient Power straight away as well. So hopefully force a shield straight away, or if they let it go through, that's also fine. We're now going to swap into my Nidorina here, and the opponent's going to fire off a charge move. I'm going to shield this up. It could be the Shadow Ball. It is the Shadow Ball, and now the opponent's going to swap into Chansey, and I faced 3 Chansey. I think 2 of them I did lose to. I did manage to beat one of them, but it is so annoying to face, especially on Go Battle Day. Like, why are you using Chansey when you're trying to get as many battles done as possible? It's just weird. But here we're going to go for another Poison Fang, and if you don't have a counter user on your team, then honestly Chansey is really difficult to get rid of. You can see this might be 3rd or 4th Poison Fang already, and we just barely get them into the yellow health range. And I'm also expecting the opponent, after getting triple or quad stage debuff, they're just going to swap out, clear that debuff. It makes a lot of sense, and yeah, unfortunately not a lot we can do here, but we go for the Poison Fang. We're going to stay in, and we make it to another Poison Fang in time, which is really huge for us, because this will double debuff them. They no shield their Vigoroth as well, which is kind of strange, but we're going to come in with the Togetic. Cool that they go for a Body Slam, which they do, and this forces the opponent to throw another charge move. Body Slam will be taking us out. We've still got our Nidorina in the back, so if the opponent does go for a bait with a Poison Fang, which they're quite likely to do in all honesty, then I will have to clear a debuff. But here we're going to go for the Ice Beam. Ice Beam grabs the final shield from the opponent, unfortunately. I will let the move go through. It is the Poison Fang. They swap into Chansey, and at this point I was like, actually I should have cleared my debuff a lot sooner than that, but unfortunately I was quite slow to do so. And here the opponent going to fire off the charge move. I think all I have to do is fire off back-to-back Ice Beams here, but the opponent gets the defense drop with Psychic as well, which is really bad for me, because now I thought I would just be able to fully Poison Jab far them down, but with the defense drop, these Zen Headbutts are doing too much damage. Horn Attack will be taking out the Chansey, but they can just Wing Attack, farm me down, and unfortunately we do lose that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Vigoroth in the lead. So once again, just going to stay in, go for that Aerial Ace straight away, and then I will swap into my Nidorina to sponge any damage that gets thrown. The opponent going to fire off their charge move straight away. So are they going to go for the Rock Slide? Yes, they are. And Rock Slide does do slightly more damage than a Body Slam, like maybe 1 or 2 more damage. So it doesn't really help them that they go for the Rock Slide, as they just waste more of their energy. But here, the opponent comes in with a Golbat. Unfortunately, can't go for Poison Fang there because it still wouldn't KO. So instead, I commit to the Thunderbolt, and the opponent ends up throwing on the CMP tie, full sending the Shadow Ball as well. But we can come in with our Nidorino, and I'm going to go an over farm here. The opponent just going to go straight for a Poison Fang. Absolutely fine with me. I can let that go through. Going to commit to a full Poison Jab farm down, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with their own Togetic. They swap back into Vigoroth, throw the charge move. So I'm just going to shield this up, play it safe, swap into my own Togetic, and I can live a Rock Slide pretty comfortably. And as well, of course, counters aren't going to be able to farm me down. So I'll let the move go through. It is the Rock Slide, but I can go for a full Steel Wing farm down, coming out with so much loaded energy. And as well, I don't think the opponent can Fairy Wind farm me down either. So Ancient Power goes unshielded, but we get the boost, and the opponent has had enough. They're just going to concede the match, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, another great lead. The opponent going to say swap into a Alolan Graveler, and obviously I don't have a response here, so I'm actually going to stay in, fire off the Ancient Power, because I've only got 2 charge moves on my team that are neutral here, and the opponent recognizes that we're clearly weak to this Alolan Graveler, as they do, as of course we threw the charge move there, so they're going to actually shield that up. We're once again going to farm up to a potential dig, go for the Poison Fang, and we end up grabbing both shields from the opponent, which is pretty good for me. I'm now going to shield this up. I should just go for the Poison Fang straight away because our switch clocks are misaligned, but instead I over farm here. A little bit risky, a bit unnecessary, but Poison Fang will get them fairly low, and they can now swap back into their Primeape. Should have just gone for the Thunderbolt here, but instead I go for the Poison Fang, thinking I could get back-to-back Poison Fangs off, but I'm not able to do so. So we're going to come in with our Togetic here. I'm going to swap. I'm going to try and catch what I think should be an Ice Punch here. And the opponent does fire off the Ice Punch there. Can we get a full Poison Jab farm down in time? No, unfortunately not. So the opponent gets to another charge move here. They're going to go for a second Ice Punch. We do get the farm down, and I can fire off this Ice Beam. But honestly, I should have got much lower before throwing it, because it one-shots the Shadow Dragonair. And now the opponent can get the Rock Throw farm down. And now they're going to come out with a charge move loaded. So a few mistakes in that battle end up costing me. Rock Blast actually doesn't quite take us out there, but one extra Rock Throw does the job, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, another team core broken by the Togetic as they swap into their Primeape. We're going to go straight for the Aerial Ace, grab a shield there, and then I'm going to swap into my Nidorina. So I don't want to take any damage on my Togetic just because we don't need to. We're going to come in with the Nidorina, go for the Poison Fang here, and a second charge move will not KO our Nidorina either. So at this point, I should just be able to let this move go through, and maybe even fully Poison Sting farm them down if they're only running Ice Punch and maybe Close Combat. And we are able to get the full farm down, which is huge. We maintain alignment. We still got a shield advantage as well, and we're going to debuff the opponent here. They're going to swap out, but we make it to another Poison Fang with our Nidorina. Absolutely insane spam here. Poison Fang going to debuff them, and this is absolutely game over. So the opponent just concedes the match there. So GG's to that opponent there. And into the next game, and I recognize this name because I did actually face them earlier in the night. So we are going to see the opponent running the Shadow Golbat in the lead, and they have a Chansey and a Vigoroth in the back. So maybe questionable that I let that move go through here, but we're going to go for an Ancient Power, and then I will swap into my Nidorina, and the opponent's going to stay in with their Shadow Golbat, going to fire off the Poison Fang straight away, not even going to farm to a potential Shadow Ball, going to let it go through, and here is the Chansey. So last time the opponent was able to swap out of the matchup and clear the debuff, so let's see if I play this any differently. We're going to go for a second Poison Fang, throwing pretty much straight away, but the more I throw, the more time I waste here with the Switch Clock, and I'm going to go for another Poison Fang here, but unfortunately, just still doing hardly any damage to this Chansey, and I'm actually going to wait for the opponent to throw here. I'm actually going to use my shield, because otherwise, what else am I going to be shielding in this battle? We're going to go for a Poison Fang, number 4, but the opponent will be able to swap back out into their Golbat, but I have not revealed Thunderbolt yet, so we're going straight for the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt takes out the Shadow Golbat. I'm now going to swap into my Togetic here, and I'm going to go and fish for a boost with Ancient Power. Honestly, it's not really going to make much of a difference here, but Ancient Power does not get the boost. The opponent going to throw their charge move straight away, so I'll let this go through. Psychic takes us out, and I make a huge mistake here. I meant to come in with my Nidorino, but I got the size mixed up, so I come in with my very low health Nidorina. Luckily for me, I go down there, and the opponent's able to swap out, but if they've got a charge move banked, this could be very dicey. But here I'm going to let the first move go through. They go for the Body Slam. I'm just going to full send an Ice Beam here. I think my lose condition is going for an unnecessary bait. So we go for the Ice Beam. Ice Beam grabs the final shield from the opponent. Now here I'm going to shield up the body Sam. I will just barely be able to make it to another Ice Beam up against the Vigoroth. Actually not sure if a Horn Attack would KO from that range, but Ice Beam does the job, and the opponent didn't have a Charge Move loaded on their Chansey, and I'm able to Poison Jab, farm them down, and take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.